is like. With a low cloud, maybe a bit of rain, we'll see what happens. This is Cruachma. It's natural forestry, so this forest has been here hundreds if not thousands of years. It's made up of all native species. Now they've been in the last couple of years clearing out some invasive roots, rhododendron and the like, but more or less an intact native woodland. And this is where it starts going up for about 200 meters. I'm sure this yoke won't capture the severity of that angle, but by the time I get to the top I'm going to be sweating like Donald Trump at a teenage beauty pageant. Anyway, onwards and upwards. And there's the man himself, Fionn, looking out over his kingdom. I'm not sure why they gave him a hurl, that piece of stick used in sport. North Galway wouldn't be known for its hurling, more of a football county, but that's alright. But there he is. Looking a little constipated, has to be said. Coming up to the summit now, less soil and you can see all this exposed limestone. This is a karst landscape. There's an area just south of here that's nothing but this. It's pretty magical. We'll go there another day. But there we are now, nearly at the top. Lots and lots of rocks. And as promised, I'm sweating like a priest at first confession. So the whole hill now is covered in paths and trails for people, which is lovely. But in a move that really impressed me, they didn't give access to probably the coolest, not probably, the coolest thing on the hill. For that you need to know where it is, and you get off the beaten path. You can see now we're making our way across the limestone, heading for the very top of the hill. And if this doesn't give you a Lord of the Rings buzz, nothing will. And here we are. Guarded by some brambles, small beech trees. There we go. Fionn tomb, or Maeve's tomb, depending on who you're talking to. Top of the tomb. We'll make this short so I don't bore everybody, but also, more importantly, there's a band of rain coming right towards me. So according to mythology, the Tuatha Dé Danann, magical race that inhabited Ireland, lived here for thousands of years unmolested, and then the Gael showed up, the ancestors of the modern Irish. And as they slowly encroached and took over the land, the Tuatha Dé Danann knew they had to disappear, but didn't want to leave the country. So using their magic, they made themselves small and disappeared into the caves and the cracks and the secret places. And according to local mythology here, all the local Tuatha Dé Danann climbed to the top of this hill, each carrying a rock. And when their king, Fionn, placed the last rock on top of this cairn, they all disappeared inside it. So that somewhere below us, Fionn still holds his court. Now, this is probably a passage tomb. It dates to about 5,000 or so, 4,000 BC. And that means that somewhere below me in the center of this mound is a chamber. And the chamber likely contains cremation urns, funerary remains, and the cremated remains of the people that built this thousands and thousands of years ago. These monuments are typically found in the northwest and the northeast. The famous one, of course, is Newgrange. And there's not very many in the west, so that makes this one kind of special. Now, this thing is the trigonometry station back in the 1840s when they were doing their Ordnance Survey of Ireland. The Brits, they mapped every field and house in an amazing feat, actually. The maps are still used today. But they put up trig stations, survey stations, at high points around the country to set up their instruments to make everything as accurate as possible. The 1830s, I think, was first edition, and on they went. But they were joined by scholars whose job it was just to take field notes, and these guys turned out to be basically early ethnologists or ethnographers, and they interviewed all the local owners and recorded every monument they came across, and their field notes continue to be a source of great information for archaeologists, folklorists and mythologists today. But there you go. Now we're at the top of the tree canopy, all natural forestry. You can see the autumn colour beginning to sneak in. That wasn't there last week. Down there you've got the ancient walls and the dark understory, real old forest buzz going on. And here's the rain, so I'm out here. So up behind me here there's a second monument up on top of the hill, which looks almost as impressive, if not more impressive, than the actual cairn, the actual Neolithic monument or megalith. But in fact it's of much more humble origin. Back in the 1700s, when the land was firmly under Anglo-Irish British rule, landowners, it became trendy among landowners, big landlords, to have an antiquity on their land. And those that didn't have one would build one. And those that had one but weren't suitably impressed by it would build one. So the landowner here, Curwen, one of the tribes of Galway, he had Fionn Maeve's tomb up on top there. Wasn't enough for the bugger, so he employed workmen to build what looks like a large stone circular fort, but it's only a few hundred years old. It's pretty modern, so don't be fooled by it. They call those monuments follies, after the folly of the landlord wasting money building them. And now it's proper raining. Lovely. And that's the plain of Moytura. You can see Loch Corrib over there in the distance. Galway's back there somewhere. Looking a little grey today through the veil of rain. And all this stone everywhere. Growing up, I was always struck by the similarities between Tolkien's work and Irish mythology in the west of Ireland. Some places out of his books seem to be drawn directly from parts of this country. You can see here, Old Man Willow would look right at home here. So it's only recently I actually discovered that Tolkien used to holiday extensively in Galway and Mayo and Clare, the west of Ireland. Came here often as he could. But he called Ireland an evil land, where the evil was kept at bay by the piety of the people. And I think by that he was probably talking to these places where there's such a great sense of the ancient and pre-Christian. Of course, Tolkien was a devout Catholic. The bugger also didn't like the Irish language, to which all I can say is Pogue Mahone, Tolkien. Pogue Mahone. So there you are now, it's the base of the hill. And here we have the Tower House from the 1600s. The gobshite landlord that built the folly at the top, the Curwens. That was their house. And as you can see, they've been better off saving their money. And that's Cruachma.